Bound and Book, The Long, Long Goodbye of the Last Bookstore Review. The first entry in the Bound and Book series arrived in the English market in September last year and offered book lovers a likable collection of short stories revolving around a boy who can hear the voices of books. The second installment is here, and it's time to find out if it continues to be as entertaining and charming as an initial outing. Instead, the Mosubu Inoki related the story as we saw in the first book. The protagonist at the time is Minami Suburaya, who works at the last remaining bookstore in the town of Tohoku. One day, Minami's world is turned upside down when owner Emon Komoto dies in an accident. Due to Emon having no living family, there will no one to carry or running the store, which means it will have closed its doors for good. Minami has found memories of the store from childhood, and she doesn't want to leave the place without doing something to celebrate the bookshop that brought her so much joy. So in its final week, it's decided that the staff will celebrate Emon and the store's life by holding an event where people can write special messages and take pictures of themselves with the treasure books they found in the shop. One evening, while preparing for the event, Minami finds Mosubu Inoki in the store, ominously talking to himself and asking who killed Minami. When confronted, Inoki tells Minami he was simply not talking to the books, something Minami finds hard to believe. Putting that aside, she asks what even he's even doing there, to which Inoki declares that Emma left all the books in the store to him. So for the final week, Inoki will be working there part-time to get to the bottom of what happened to Emon, and to make sure that, should these books have any requests, they are fulfilled. As you might imagine, Minami isn't thrilled about working with an oddball like Inoki who writes twitters on about being able to converse with books. But as the week goes on and she sees him helping out the customers who came by, as well as witnessing his abilities in action, she was to admit that Inoki might not be so bad after all. He even reminds her that Emma himself, who always seems to know what his books around him were thinking. As we may have gathered from this write-up so far, unlike the first installment of Bound and Book, which was short stories, this entry relates one long storyline, and still broken up into 5 chapters, each one focusing on the different customer and the relationship to the bookstore and a book from there, but the resolutions of which of these stories fed back into this overall plot, which is something we didn't see before. The other big difference is that Mosubu is not the protagonist, so we don't get to enjoy his inner monologues, nor hear from the book he's dating. Princess Nyonoga. Audrey, I'm not sure I mind that since Minami is a strong lead in her own right, it is entertaining to see events from the perspective of someone who doesn't want to believe Mosubu has these strange abilities. Interestingly, in Japan, this book was released alongside Bond and Book, The Devotion of the Surgery Room as an extra edition, rather being a sequel novel, which perhaps explains why Inoki is in the protagonist role. Of course, what I enjoy most about reading this one is the fact that author Mizuki Nomura once again peers a real passion for literature and bookstore into the work. The characters in the stories hold such precious memories of Emon's story that you can help out but feel sorry for the town losing its last bookstore, and the fact that younger kids living there now won't have the same experiences. It also made me think about my own treasure experiences in bookstores, finding a book that I will grow to love, or simply enjoy the act of flipping through those that caught my interest, which just made the chapters here that much more relatable. Certainly any bookworm is going to enjoy reading this one and reminiscing about their own experiences. Bound and Book, The Long, Long Goodbye of the Last Bookstore comes to the West thanks to Yen Press and it has been translated by Nicole Wilder. The translation reads well with no issues to report. Like the previous entry, this one has given a hardback release, which is well worth the higher price, but there are still more books in the series to come. Yen Press currently don't have anything else on the schedule, so we might be waiting a while for the next entry to hit Western shelves. One other thing of note is that while Miyo Takeoka is credited for illustration, there actually aren't any images in this book, besides the cover and the chapter breaks which reuse the silhouette of the cast over on the front of the book. This might be a bit disappointing to readers who like the variety of images in the last entry. Overall, this entry in the Bound and Book series proves an emotional reads as the cast says farewell to a beloved bookstore. Readers will undoubtedly connect with the feelings of these individuals as they reminisce of their time spent browsing and purchasing books. 9/10.